You ever just, look at old art and. Ugh. Yeah, me too. That's why we're gonna redraw it. Technically, this isn't the first time I'm actually redrawing this. I actually did it a few years after the first one in college, and. Well. Meh. Then I did it again in 2020, and. Yeah, not really feeling it. I mean, yeah, it's passable, but. Doesn't exactly feel right for my precious little baby brain OCs back from high school. After that, I kind of forgot about it. Until recently, I was looking through some old files and thought, hey, you know what? Let's do that again, because maybe this time it won't completely be terrible. And, you know what? I was actually right. I'm actually really happy with how it came out this time. If I wasn't, you probably wouldn't be watching this right now, but whatever, that's beside the point. So, anyway, I guess we can talk about what we're doing today. Taking old art from high school and redrawing it to see how much I've grown over the last... How many years has it been? 10, 12 years. Wow, I'm old. No wonder I'm going bald. But yeah, so I did this originally back then. It was part of a comic for Noob Squad, which actually some of them are actually on this channel if you want to go check them out. They're not very good videos, but it's where I got my start, so they're kind of worth it. But it's cool to see how much I've grown even from then, because the writing was about as good as the art was. So yeah, baby high school brain trying to make comics. Granted, they still make me laugh today, but they're not that great. So yeah, if you got time to kill, knock yourself out like a minute and a half a piece. But enough shilling for old content, because we gotta talk about new content. That's why we're redoing this, because we have to be a shill for our new stuff. So essentially, the story of Noob Squad went that it's your typical straight man and wise guy, or the gleeful and grumpy setup. You got Roy, who's your cynical, stoic butt munch, and Weaponfire, who is your typical moron that runs around doing whatever he feels like when he feels like it. And actually, I know the name's weird, but Weaponfire was originally based on the old Flash game called Weaponfire. I know, very creative of me. It's not like I stole it, but... Actually, no, creative license. Or creative... What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever, it'll be on screen. I can't think of it right now. So I did that, came up with him. He was essentially your chaotic, neutral gun nut that was kind of a complete moron. And Roy just kept losing his sanity over the years dealing with him. And it just turned into more and more Weaponfire doing something stupid, Roy getting mad about it, everybody laughing and going on with their day because it never really changed much of anything. Typical sitcom drama stuff, but I had fun with it, and even now it's still fun to me. The dumb thing about it was, I've only talked about Roy Weaponfire, and yet the comic was called Noob Squad. A squad is 4 people. I had 2 people for like the first 2 or 3 years I made the comic because I didn't know how to count. Even though apparently I was a math whiz and got perfect scores in like every math class I was in, but I couldn't count to 4. Go figure. So, eventually, I came up with more characters to add in. Some came and went over the years. Eventually I settled on the final 4, which are in all the old videos on the channel. You've got Michaela and Rob, which Michaela is essentially Girl Roy, and Rob is Weaponfire, but a cardboard robot. So, essentially it's still 2 characters, but you have a lot more of a fun dynamic with it, because you have essentially 2 different factions, 2 different people, which gives you a lot more opportunities, but considering there's only like maybe 10 videos even up on the channel, because none of this stuff was good enough to post, we'll move on to talking about old stuff, talk about what I'm actually doing in this piece of artwork, which is what I should have been doing from the start, instead of wasting the last 4.5 minutes, but whatever. So one of the big key changes I made, because I didn't make very many, was that I changed the way Roy's hair looks. Originally, back then, he looked like your typical emo long hair that covered your entire head because it was just easy to draw and I was lazy. But the thing about it, Roy was never actually supposed to be emo. He was kind of your Doom guy, or Hulk smashes through everything with brute force. And while it may still look kind of emo now, it's just more of a typical anime long hair situation, so it's a little bit better, and I feel like it fits Roy a lot better than the old hair used to. I'm only halfway through the speed paint. I don't know what to talk about. Give me a second. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about why I hated the 2020 version of this. And I will give you the biggest reason of all. It sucked. Alright, cool, let's go home. Just kidding, never mind. Please don't leave. I didn't like it because the proportions were weird. They were both fatter than they're supposed to be. Roy looked like a stubby little munchkin. which is funny in its own right, but still, that shouldn't be how it's supposed to be, maybe for one single plot point, but proportions were weird, the faces looked wonky, and Roy's eyes in the 2020 version just did not look good at all. And I felt like I'd regressed as an artist, which technically I did because I burnt out for 4 years after college and didn't touch anything artistic for like 4 years. And then I made that 2020 version like right after coming off of that, or when I first started to recover from it, so yeah, I probably did suck and it was warranted, but then I kept going, kept drawing, it got better. Now we have this version, which is actually really good. As you can see now by the shading, I've learned so much by doing the absolute bare minimum to get by with it, even though I just spent this entire time doing line art and all of that. And also, that 2020 version didn't have the same feeling that the original 2010 one did. It didn't have the same joy or, I don't know, that untouchable feeling that the special stuff in your heart has. It just wasn't there. However, this time, I finally got it right, and I did recapture that joy. And it's the best thing about this piece to me, even though it's technically not the best in the world, because I don't really know why it's actually halfway decent, but I feel like I'm rambling, but whatever. Yeah, that figures. I go from rambling to complete awkward silence because apparently I am a great orator, I'm a great speaker, I'm great at doing this kind of thing, and yeah, I didn't write a script, which was probably a big mistake. But we're gonna go with it, and we're gonna do this together, because we have to see this through, because that's what this channel is all about, is me being an idiot, and whoever actually watches it to come along for the ride. I have nobody to impress, I don't care to impress anybody, I'm just gonna be me, and it's gonna be awful, but I don't care. And now we finally get to the background of this piece, which I actually kind of overdid a little bit, especially since it's supposed to be a comic panel I'm redrawing. I should have kept it simple and did a basic gradient, but I learned this really cool, painterly looking backgrounds thing back during Inktober last year, which that in and of itself was a whole entire fiasco and a half. There's actually a video on it if you want to go check it out, but I kind of overdid the background, even though I really like the rendering. Actually, a little bit of context, this was part of a Ocarina of Time parody comic, which was not good, so you're never going to see it, but yeah, essentially this is when they first get to Ganon's Tower, and it was supposed to be the background of all the mountains, all of the ruins around, and then the light and the lava coming up and taking over it, and obviously the Rainbow Bridge comes up. Roy is not happy with the bridge at all because he thinks it's stupid. Weaponfire loves it and laughs the entire time. And it just goes from there and continues out the story, but I guess that's it for the actual speed paint, so now we can move on to, just for the lulz and giggles, let's add some color. Sweet! We have color. And that's pretty much it. I redid my old art from high school, and I made it into something that I'm actually proud of for once. Neat! Alright, that's all I got. You can go away now.